Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt is the Cam Ward of this year's transfer portal class. And here's why it could come down to LSU versus Miami.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, co-host of Locked On ACC and host of Postgame on the Hurricanes Radio Network. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're part of the now #1 Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. On this loaded episode of Locked On Canes, we'll talk about Miami versus Texas A&M, what it's going to take for the Hurricanes to get through. We'll talk about this whole Notre Dame versus ACC drama. It's like a reality show happening right now. But we'll talk a lot of transfer portal. Top targets Miami could go after, including the guy that I refer to as this year's version of Cam Ward, and that is Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt, who is reportedly going to enter the transfer portal when that officially opens on January 2nd. And it's why we bring on the recruiting overlord, the portal overlord. He's the host of the Portal podcast here on the Locked On Network, Brian Smith. All right, so Brian, tell the folks out there why you think it could be Lane Kiffin versus Mario Cristobal for Sam Leavitt.
Well, it's not any secret that Mario's not afraid to go out and take a portal quarterback, and he's had tremendous success with it. And they're going to have another roster next year. I mean, just my opinion. I love roster management stuff. That's my bag. I think Miami has a top 10 roster, but if you don't have a quarterback, you're screwed. We all know that this sport goes as your quarterback goes. Are they going to trust Emory Williams? I doubt it. I know you probably feel the same from some conversations I've had with you, unless you've had a change of heart. And Sam's a mobile guy. He's similar to Cam, that is more annoying. Nothing against Carson Beck, but he's not striking fear into defensive ends. It would be really hard with Malachi, like running RPO if you had Sam. Like, I didn't realize how athletic he was until I went and watched film of him this year. He could scoot. And you put Sam in that offense, well, about any really, but you give him Malachi and what, I don't know. You tell me, Alex, is there going to be a better running back room in college football next year than the Canes?
Oh, gosh,
Probably
I don't think
not.
So.
I mean, I would take Miami's over anybody's.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. So it's an easy pick. They're going to spend money. If you're saying you're going to play for a top 10 team, it would be surprising if that's not an option. Now, for LSU, this is pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
If you're a quarterback, Lane Kiffin's pretty attractive.
Yeah.
They don't have anything there. But they've got receivers, they've got running backs, they've got a really young offensive line. Yeah, I think those are the two obvious choices. And maybe Sam has something else that he wants. The wild card there is the University of Oregon. If Dante Moore turns pro, for those who don't know, Sam is from West Lynn, Oregon.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, he is from the state. It's weird because he went to Michigan State, redshirted, then transferred to Arizona State. Kids from Oregon going to Michigan State. That's bizarre. But he ends up at ASU. He's had a pretty good year the last couple of seasons, but he got hurt this season. He has the infamous Liz Frank foot injury. He wouldn't be back until probably summer or whatever, but you already know what you're getting. I mean, he's an NFL quarterback. So LSU, Miami, those are the two. A wild card here. If Joey Aguilar does not end up back at Tennessee, they got deep pockets and they need to win next year, and they've got a pretty good roster. Tennessee could throw some cash at him too before they kind of matriculated towards Faison Brandon, their 5-star quarterback that's coming in this spring.
It's funny because, like, sometimes when these big-time quarterbacks become available, certain guys are like, oh, I always dreamed of playing in the SEC. For a kid from Oregon, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. If he grew up fantasizing about the SEC. Like, from the Miami point of view, how much do you think it helps Miami that obviously the big success story was Cam Ward 2 years ago, who was penciled in as a third-day draft pick, and he comes to Miami. He ends up #1 overall, and he's at the Heisman ceremony. You know, like the Carson Beck thing, not like quite as big of like an upward trajectory, but I do think Beck improved his stock, and he's able to get into the college football playoff at Miami. So recent success with these past two portal QBs, that's got to help Miami's case, right?
How could it not? Miami's offense is attractive. You
Yeah.
produced the first pick in the draft, and you helped resurrect a guy that weirdly went down last year at Georgia. Now he's back up again.
Yeah.
So if you're a quarterback, I mean, we're both fond of the offensive scheme in general. I don't think it's going to be any problem. And again, having Malachi and some other young JoJo, etc., it's not hard to sell that. You're going to have playmakers, and you would tell him, hey, we're going to try to go get a playmaker, which one of them we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Yeah.
There's going to be plenty of receivers. You don't have to get the number one guy. I
Right.
mean, the two guys they got this year, like CJ and Mary, those guys are good. They weren't like top 3 receivers in the portal, but they've helped them a lot. They wouldn't be in the playoff without them. Even if you just got one guy like that to go with what they have returning, Sam or any other quarterback Miami would go after. Again, this is a top 10 roster. You just plug and play a few extra pieces offensively, defensively. You should be in a pretty good spot.
All right, I got to ask you the question that dozens, if not hundreds, of Miami fans have asked me every time I talk about transfer quarterbacks, okay? Because you're also a recruiting expert. If Miami goes into the portal again for a quarterback, is there a concern about, like, how do you recruit quarterbacks out of high school moving forward if you go into the portal 3 straight years? Like, do you think that's a legitimate concern, or should it even be a concern? Because again, teams including Miami have had a lot of success the last couple of years getting top line starters through the portal.
It's a great question, and unfortunately, there isn't one answer. Let me use a couple other examples. Last year, the 2 finalists, Ohio State and Notre Dame, they had some good young quarterbacks on their roster, but they chose portal.
Yeah.
Your fan base ain't going to be mad if you make it to the finals. If you're going to do it, though, you got to be successful.
Yes.
Let's be honest. Winning cures about everything. As for the guys coming up the ranks, that's subjective. There's a few parents that I communicate with that have elite sons and quarterbacks and recruits. That's something they look at. I got a phone call from a guy the other day. It changed what his kid was going to do based on a quarterback transferring out of school. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about depth chart. So you're rolling the dice a little bit, but this isn't the year I'd worry about it if I was Miami. It's going to be next year.
Yeah.
They're going to have 2 really good quarterbacks on campus that have had a chance to go through a year, et cetera. Obviously they're adding Darion Coleman this year. If they don't take one of the 2 young guys next year, as we're going to let them battle it out in spring, blah, blah, then you would see at least one of them probably leave.
Yeah.
This year, I don't expect that. Maybe Emory Williams is probably going to leave. It'd be my guess. That,
Okay.
if it is,
Yeah.
you know what? It is what it is, because he waited 3. I wouldn't blame Emory. Good guy, by the way.
I wouldn't either.
But he didn't do much in that bowl game last year, and he hasn't proven it in their eyes in practice, or else they wouldn't have portaled this year. So sometimes you're going to lose a little bit, but everybody loses players. Georgia loses players. Ohio State loses players. Notre Dame loses players. Texas loses players. It's part of the era we're in.
Yeah.
The idea is to, at the end of the day, have more addition than subtraction. It is what it is.
All right. Well, you mentioned earlier for Miami to be extra attractive for a portal quarterback, we got to talk playmakers. And I noticed on the excellent portal pod that you do, you have linked Miami to what could be the top wide receiver available in the portal.
Yep.
Let's talk about Nick Marsh when we come back. You want to keep it locked right here. We're only getting started with the recruiting overlord on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Friends, NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting, because you're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. Folks, FanDuel lets you jump into that moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Thank you for making Locked On Canes your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you're a true diehard Hurricanes fan, the Everydayer All Access tier is built for you. You'll get one-on-one text access with me, all access episodes. I do something called the Canes Colada every single day. It's exclusive, an exclusive newsletter, and a 15% discount to the Locked On merch store. Head to lockedoncanes.supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club and unlock all access. You can also find the link in the show notes below. All right, we're joined here by the portal overlord, the recruiting overlord, Brian Smith. All right, Brian, tell folks about dynamic Michigan State receiver Nick Marsh, who has had a tremendous couple of years at MSU, and I guess he's going to be looking for his next opportunity. And do you feel Miami could be a top contender there for this wideout?
It's the same argument that we just discussed with Sam Leavitt. I'm obviously not a Miami guy, but I'm not an idiot either. Like, it's attractive financially. I love the campus. I've got a buddy that's a professor there. I like visiting the campus. And Miami runs an offense that's very conducive for a wide receiver and quarterback. If they get Sam or, another with Sorsby or somebody else,
yeah,
why would you not at least consider Miami? Again, and I'm not trying to pick on Michigan State. It's bad that they're down. Like, they suck. They are horrible. Oh. The Michigan State should never be this bad. It's unfathomable, and Jonathan Smith got what he deserved, getting bounced. But to that end, Nick Marsh, even in a complete disaster of an offense in the last 2 years, has 100 catches, is a threat every time he's on the field, despite being double teamed all the time. If he goes to a place like Miami, LSU, Notre Dame, Ohio State, USC, whatever, and they can't double him all the time, he could be an 80 catch, 1,200-yard guy. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. He's twitchy. He can make the one-handed catches. He can do all that stuff, and he's got deep speed. But It's so bad at Michigan State, he didn't even average 12 yards a catch. It's insane. He had 50. They could only get him the ball like on short stuff. Like, it was just brutal. Their offensive line, the poor quarterback was getting his head beat in. So I think Miami will be one of the first schools that's in the mix. They've always been very active with the portal. I don't know if Nick will want to go there, but I bet you money that he visits and or entertains Miami very much. Again, they're losing CJ, they're losing Marion, they're losing 2 guys, so there's reps, but you're going to be playing opposite JoJo. You're going to have Malachi. They've got a great running back room. They've got tight ends. You could be like the final piece, because I don't know who it's going to be, but they'll get a quarterback. That's low-hanging fruit for Miami. You're going to be in an offense that is very conducive for your success. Why would he not consider it? Again, I'm not a Miami fan. I'm just being honest. Like, this is just, if you're an agent, like I'm involved with some of these kids, if you're an agent or somebody advising them, why would you not at least put that on your list? When they call you, take that call. So, yeah, I will be very surprised if Nick Marsh is not at least in some way, shape, or form involved with the Canes.
Yeah, and like, I want to make sure I'm doing my due diligence here, because I think Brian and I, just so everyone knows, we both understand, like, Miami has a very deep receiver room, even after losing the likes of CJ Daniels and Keelan Marion. But I think you could still potentially use an upperclassman transfer like that, because obviously you mentioned Malachi Toney, who I think is someone who could find himself in the Heisman conversation next year. He's going to be a huge part of this offense next season. Joshua Moore, who's going to be a sophomore next year, has been ascending. We saw some stuff from Nye Carr, who I think is going to be a junior next year, could get more opportunities. Dalen Upshaw had some important reps throughout the season this year. And even, Brian, we've seen freshman receivers have success at Miami, and you're going to have, 4 coming in, and I think at least 2 of them are going to be ready to play right away in the form of Milan Paris and Samorian Wingo. I think can get on the field immediately. So with all of that in mind, like, you still think a guy like Nick Marsh could be someone who could make that room, raise that ceiling even higher.
He's already proven, man. And he's 6'3", 200 pounds. He's been through a weight room program for 2 years. That's a grown man. The biggest competition from Miami, even though his stats weren't great, will probably be the draft, because the NFL drafts on measurables. 6'3", 200 doesn't grow on trees. So, especially guys that can mix, not just like one guy, but like 2 or 3 guys on a single play. He can make a miss with lateral movement. Those guys are really rare. So you put him on the same field with Malachi, how would that not be attractive? Plus, if you can sell him to come to Miami, maybe that helps you get maybe get Sam Leavitt or vice versa. Like these things play off of one another.
Yeah.
Why would you not target him if you're the Miami Hurricanes?
Yeah. And, all the names I mentioned, if you can add Nick Marsh into that mix, and I didn't mention JoJo Trader, who I do think is going to be back next year for Hurricanes could end up with or without Nick Marsh, one of the best, or at least one of the better receiver rooms in the country. But this is a dude that could bring that even up to 100%. Another level. Any I know it's early, but any buzz on like linebackers who might be available? I know that's a position group Miami might look at. There's going to be certain spots I think they're going to look to fill gaps with.
I don't know specific names, but that's the easiest spot probably to fix. Like I didn't know anything about the Traore kid, like the kid they brought in from Rutgers. Obviously, he did a good job. That's a little easier.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about that. I would worry about what you do. I mean, there's no way that one player is going to replace Ruben or like their DN situation. They've got players, but those guys, the main guys, took so many reps. If they took one defensive end, a veteran, maybe not a stud, it wouldn't surprise me, just to help for veteran leadership.
Yeah.
And then an offensive tackle. I was going to ask you, it's one thing to lose Big Maui, and they got the big fella coming in from Missouri. I think he'll plug and play at right tackle. That's what I expect.
Yeah.
Who's going to replace Bell, and how is that going to play out? Have you heard anything about Miami's thoughts on a left tackle for next year?
Yes, a couple things. Bell might end up leaving, but he would be able to get the extra year because he started in JUCO, so that's going to be his decision. Like he was asked a couple weeks ago if he's for sure leaving, and he kept the door open. So I think it's going to depend on what sort of feedback he gets from the draft. So there is a chance Bell could be back at left tackle. If he's not, I think Samson Okunlola could be someone that they plug in there. He got a lot of reps, mostly at left guard this year, but he could be a candidate to be at left tackle. So they're going to have some internal options. But listen, I wouldn't rule out, portaling at offensive line. The last few years they've done it at center. I don't think they're going to do it at center because I think they're probably ready to put someone like S.J. Alofaituli in there for next year, but I could see them maybe portaling in a tackle, but they will have options if they don't.
If he comes back and they get like a quarterback or whatever, Miami has a chance to be preseason top 5. That left tackle spot is the one that I'm most curious. It's just hard to find anybody. Yeah. And Oklahoma just been banged up so much of his career. It's not a lack of talent, that's for sure. No. Left tackle is probably Miami's biggest question mark if Bell doesn't come back. I have confidence even losing Ruben, as well as they've recruited defensive end, that's still going to be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. We're joined here by Brian Smith. We're talking transfer portal, but let's talk your reaction to seeing Miami matches up against Texas A&M at College Station, opening round of the college football playoff. I think this is a great matchup, Brian. If Miami's going to win this game, what has to happen?
Well, there are two things that I'm very curious about. Marcel Reed is the Mr. Hot or Mr. Cold guy. If you want some entertainment and to just have your brain explode, go watch play-to-play the first half of A&M at home against South Carolina. A quarterback could not have played worse.
Yeah.
He can't handle zone coverage very well. But in the second half, he's playing the same team, and they go out and drop, 28, 31 points, something like that, against the same team. So what Marcel Reed does show up. And then secondarily, Heatherman, I think, is a good coach for the Canes. He's going to talk about the same thing in the meetings. We can fool this guy. We can get turnovers. It's proven over 2 years. If you play man against him, probably not a great idea. They got some man beaters in their receivers. They got some nasty dudes. They're really talented. But Miami plays a lot of zone anyway. I would play more and just shift stuff after the snap. Let him hit the underneath stuff, rally and tackle. He's going to throw you the pill. It's just a matter of when. If Miami's players are patient and they tackle well, I like Miami in the matchup because I don't trust Marcel Reed.
Oh, wow.
The only other thing, I trust Carson Beck a hell of a lot more than I do Marcel. And I'm not trying to pick on Marcel, but he's not you can't get better experience than playing at Georgia. Now that Carson Beck is at Miami after being at UGA, all that veteran leadership, he's played in every SEC stadium that he needs to. And that place is bananas. But Miami's played at Florida State. They've played at Clemson and different places. These guys know what it's like. I'm not real worried about that. I take Carson Beck because I trust him not to throw it away. And A&M's got good DBs. Their corners are nasty.
Yeah.
But They still give up a lot of yards rushing. They're susceptible in the middle. Their best interior guy's been banged up. And on top of that, I don't know the circumstance with Le'Veon Moss, the running back for A&M. When he's just completely healthy, that's an NFL running back. But he's missed about half the year.
Yeah.
And as I say all the time on your show and every other, there is no such thing as a coach that's honest with an injury report. What are the chances of any form of injury report that's accurate from either of these coaches? We both know Mario's terrible about it.
0.
But yeah, so I can't tell you what it's gonna be when they run out. But if Le'Veon is not really close to healthy against Miami's front, they're in trouble. Miami gives up 79 yards a game, Alex? I mean, ACC sucks. I get it, but those are NFL players up front. I'm not stupid. A&M's offensive line against Miami's defensive front is as good as it gets. A&M's offensive line, this might be the two best offensive lines in college football, ironically. Man, that's a great matchup. I'm curious to see Rubin go up against those guys, what they do. But if Moss doesn't play at 100% or close, A&M's not going to be in the situations they need. They got other good running backs, but he's a tier above. So those are the two things I'm curious about. Marcel Reed, do I trust him? No. And whether or not Le'Veon is really healthy.
Well, when we come back, I want to pick Brian's brain on why Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bevacqua has just been crashing out over the past few days. And Brian is in Indiana right now, so he is boots on the ground in the Fighting Irish State. He can give me the skinny on this. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. Folks, let's talk about something most men don't bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life. It doesn't just switch off at night, and when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rugiet Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rugiet Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when that moment matters. Rugiet Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in one mint that dissolves under your tongue so it absorbs fast. The science behind Rugiet Ready stands out. 3 clinically proven ingredients in one formula designed for both mental and physical readiness. You can connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. It's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch. If you've been thinking about taking the next step, now's the time. Head to rugiet.com/lockedoncollege. That's RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege to get 15% off your order for a limited time. Rugiet Ready. Feel present. Feel confident. Feel ready. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen. We're joined here by Brian Smith, the Portal Pod, Locked On Seminoles. He's in Indiana right now, so that makes him a de facto expert on all things Notre Dame. And he does have a lot of Notre Dame expertise here, if we're being real. All right, so Brian, I can understand why Notre Dame is pissed from the point of view that dog and pony show Tuesday night show every week had them consistently ranked in front. I didn't think they should have ever been ranked in front of Miami, but they had them in front of Miami right until the final reveal. So they felt like they got rug pulled. I understand being upset about that. But I feel that if they're going to be complaining, they should be complaining about the SEC lobbying for 7 teams to get in over them, including Bama, who I don't feel deserved it over Notre Dame. Instead, you've got Pete Bevacqua going after the ACC because the ACC had the audacity to promote Miami, who's a full member, Miami's win over Notre Dame. Like, what? Can you give me the Notre Dame side here, Brian?
From what I understand, and I haven't even made any phone calls, I'm going to let that simmer a little bit before I make any of those phone calls. But Notre Dame was mad about the ACC accounts, social media accounts, how they attacked Notre Dame. In their opinion, this is very.
I was going to say in their opinion because I didn't see it that way.
Well, I mean, you're a Miami fan. They didn't have any problem. I mean, no offense, you're not very objective in this either,
Fair.
And I get it. I'm a Notre Dame fan, but I didn't even look at it from Pete's. I'm somewhere in between.
Yeah,
but like it's very interesting because I don't pay attention to that stuff much. But it's Pete's job to do so. And he's got people that, like, anybody that doesn't think that Miami included, they have people that go to social media accounts. They check and see what Alex posts. They check and see what This is what ticks me off about athletic departments. When something they don't like happens, they call you. When you give them praise, how many praise phone calls do you get, Alex? How many?
You know what's funny? I've gotten one, and
Yeah.
it was like I felt like it was Christmas morning.
So I just wanted to point that out. Alex and I are both in that same boat. It doesn't matter if it's Notre Dame, Miami, or whatever. It's just negativity they call about. To that end, you look at it from their perspective. They ran the Miami Notre Dame game on loop, is what somebody said on the ACC network. I don't pay attention to the ACC network, but apparently that was the thing. And their social media handled the very first one, like ACC football. Pete was pretty ticked about it, and he said he expected a phone call. He never got it. He eventually spoke to the ACC commissioner this week and said people above him had concern about it and all that. And he didn't go into detail. He made it obvious there was some strife, phone conversation. That's not good. If you do that, Miami and Clemson and Florida are big brands too. I get it. But Notre Dame helps a lot of those stadiums. And he brought up a stat that I didn't even know was this bad. 23% of ACC games sell out. When Notre Dame comes to one of those stadiums, it's 90%. Fair or not, it's the biggest brand in the conference when it's at a game. And he goes, he's basically saying you screwed with the wrong person. Fair or not. And I'm not totally in their boat, but I don't see all the stuff they do. Yeah. And now they're going to probably end up leaving. You can see the writings on the wall. And a lot of people say, oh, you're going to freeze out Notre Dame. There's zero chance that's ever going to happen because advertisers want them, ADs want them, and Title IX is the deal. So,
ironic. But if they, like you say they may leave the ACC, but it's like, do you see the SEC or the Big Ten? Would they give them the deal that they currently have where it's like, hey, our football team is going to stay independent? So that's the thing. So it's like,
No, I don't expect, to be clear, I don't expect Notre Dame to go full. They are more entrenched and independent now than ever.
Yeah.
They're tired of hearing people say, whether you agree with it or not, and whether you like it or not, everybody still schedules them. They have Texas, Bama, Auburn, Michigan State, all these teams everybody wants to play them because they fill the coffers.
Yeah.
And advertisers really like them. So that's not going to change. I just expect Miami will actually benefit from this, and so will Florida State and Clemson the most. Now, the other ACC teams, not much, because they have to do everything they can, meaning the ACC as a league. They know Notre Dame is walking out. They're screwed. They got to make sure that, like these other three, Clemson, Miami, and FSU, don't partner with Notre Dame, which I totally expect them to, scheduling and doing some stuff. I think Miami could end up doing a lot of things, Big Ten or whatever. Notre Dame will help them as long as they schedule. That's how this stuff works. And right now, you brought up the SEC. Notre Dame partnered of all schools, like the league they've never got along with at all is the SEC.
Yeah.
But with how the bids go out, Pete Bevacqua is very close with the SEC commissioner, which shocks me.
Yeah, it does.
That's why he's not taking shot. He's not really taking shots at Bama directly. That's what it's about. This is all politics. And they've got a bunch of games coming up, including Alabama in a few years. So that's, he took shots more at the committee, which they are weird. How they did it.
Weird. Yeah.
I didn't like, and again, I'm a Notre Dame guy, but whether you pick it's not even about Miami. It's how they reason stuff.
Yeah.
They should have looked at the head-to-head from the get-go. Why do you have to have the teams ranked next? What the hell does that have to do with anything?
They did it because they wanted to kill me. Like they wanted to give me a heart attack.
They were trying to take Alex Donno out. That was the number one goal of all of this. That's what it was. But no, this might be the worst committee in terms of explanation that I've ever seen, because Alabama didn't drop after losing by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and BYU did for the same. It was the same exact game. It was,
and they used the reasoning like they did. Even Alabama fans on the message boards have to go, well, we're out. Hell, they didn't even drop a place. Alabama fans are the most jaded people on planet Earth. I can assure you. I live in Alabama. I know.
Yeah.
And they thought they were out. So, there's a lot of reasons Pete can be mad and Notre Dame fans can be mad, but I still tell everybody the same thing. Don't lose 2 games, then you don't let humans be idiots, because humans usually will be idiots. That's how it works.
Confirmed. I can confirm that on a personal level. I am in every chance I get, I will be an idiot. Well, we appreciate Brian Smith's time as always, and make sure you check out his awesome shows, The Portal Pod. Maybe our audience would be less inclined to check out Locked On Seminoles, but that's also out there.
It's a comedy show right now. If you need comedy, no, I'm not kidding. The last couple of days with their decision, they fired Patrick Surtain. If you need comedy,
I couldn't believe that.
Go back and look at the YouTube one. I've got a picture of Pat. It's one of my biggest shows ever because everybody's like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
It's a comedy show in Tallahassee, man.
So check that out. Check out the portal. Check out Locked On Seminoles. Make sure you follow Brian on X at FBScout_Florida. Make sure you follow me at Alex Donno. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Thank you for making Locked On #1. Be sure to click the link below. Check out the new all access tier of the Everydayer Club. We'd love it if you join. There's a lot of great content on there, and we'll talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.